G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, and of course it is grand final week, so we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be previewing the grand final, of course, going over some pretty shady stuff going on in the Brownlow, and so much more. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options, and Jack Ginnivan says, "Boys, you brought me to the club to do just this!"
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From a tack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was. So guys, my brother has joined us for grand final week of the podcast, and we're set up for probably the two best teams in the last 5 or so years. It's going to be, hopefully we get a good game.
Well, to be honest, I think the two best teams have made it over the last 5 years. That somehow they've never made it in the same match. So I think this could be an epic game. The final series, to be honest, hasn't been as epic as I thought it would be. Besides maybe the first elimination final, Freo and Gold Coast.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a lackluster grand final series.
It could mean that it could be one of the epics, but
yeah, we've seen a lot of times when a final series hasn't been too great, the grand final usually lives up to it.
yeah.
So we had a really good final series last year. Brisbane coming back a couple of times. We had one of the best games I think I've ever seen with the Geelong v Brisbane game in the prelim, and the grand final was a pretty big letdown. So there's a couple of good signs. First of all, the Swans aren't in the grand final, so Port Adelaide aren't in it either. So a couple of good signs.
We haven't made it since 07, so we're alright.
Yeah, so there's no New South Wales teams in it. There's no Port Adelaide, so it's living up to the fact that it could be a good game. So it's living up to there's a lot of high standards going up here. Be a pretty big letdown if someone wins this by 10 plus goals. I'm going to put you honest.
With the two teams that are like Brisbane could go back to the back and Geelong being the best team in for like 20 years, I would say it will be a close game. I will say
that's just what I hope for.
Yeah.
I mean, as a neutral fan, I mean, I want Brisbane to win, but you know, as pretty much a neutral fan, I do want to see a great game of footy.
The only thing I go in through every year is that I just want a team to win by more than 119 points, but I don't think it's going to happen. I would be shocked
that's what every Port Adelaide fan walks into a grand final thinking. If I'm not there, at least if they lose, someone lose by 119 points.
But at least we're not the only South Australian that created history this final series. But
in a final series, yeah. So the Crows obviously not very great finish to their season, and
I haven't been here, I don't think, since that all happened, so I just had to bring it up.
Yeah. I think you were here for the set. Oh, no, you weren't. Yeah, because the prelim final obviously was last week. You weren't here to gloat about it. So at least you got that one in there. All right. So let's move and talk about probably the biggest talking point of the last couple of days, which is the Brownlow medal. Oh, boy. That was a shocker, wasn't it? Oh, boy.
A deserving winner, definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He deserved to win. He was up there with the chance of favouritism. Just the night was just a joke in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, it started with Andrew Dillon trying to beat the world record for the fastest count of all time.
Yeah, and I think that the telecast on Channel 7 were like, slow down. We need to make this last 4 hours because we need more adverts. We need more.
Yeah, we need more adverts. We need more breaks in the show. So if you end this by 8:30, we're gonna have to.
Even though probably every player and every person who's watching is like, just get it over with. We want to know who wins.
Would you see how many times that, towards the end of the count as well, just half the players were just completely blitzed. Half of them doing the just drinking their champagne, just holding the bottle back. That was Isaac Heaney. I think Ed Richards was doing the same. They were blitzed. They just wanted to fucking get to the after party and get it over.
Imagine
with.
Bailey Smith and all that. They have to stay sober. That could have been an epic. Even just
kind of wish Geelong lost.
Yeah,
on the weekend.
That's a moment. It was why couldn't Geelong just shit the bed in that game?
Yeah, it's just really disappointing. And then, did you see? I think it was Tony Jones was trying to get an interview with him, and he told him, I don't think he told him to fuck off, but he said a couple of swear words on the way into the Brownlow on the red carpet.
No,
you haven't seen that? No, he was swearing or something, and then he walked in, he went, chop, 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 and just walked straight in. Had the sunnies on. Oh, it was fucking hilarious. Hopefully he doesn't get bagged if they do somehow lose this week, Geelong, but I feel like he's going to.
I think Kane Corns is right up there with just being
ready to go.
He's just getting ready.
He's ready to go for the volcano. Oh my God. But yeah, that's how the night kind of started. Every single player basically wore the exact same attire. everyone wore a black little bow tie, white shirt, black jacket. It's like, bro, someone's got to try and do something a little bit different.
I think they were told a couple of weeks ago that the dress code or what.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the women were wearing all different kinds of things. Like, surely someone could have walked in like a straight white suit.
There's got to be something, show a bit of personality in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Surely someone with imagine if someone walked in with a top hat or something. Then what else happened? We saw Zach Merritt have an interview. That was pretty. That was pretty cringy.
That was very interesting. I'm just surprised he even showed up. Were you?
I mean, you got to give him credit for that. He did show up. He fronted the couple of people. Tom Morris probably sitting there. Hey Zach, can you just have an interview with me so I don't add another rumor to your never-ending pile?
Yeah, I don't think that many of the Essendon players were very happy to see him though.
Yeah, and then we've seen news come out just after that. Really, basically everyone telling him, that Andrew Welsh, I think, is the new CEO or something. He's like the new chairman. I can't remember what he's done, but he's basically been adamant saying Zach Merritt will be at Essendon next year. I'm like, ooh,
that's a big statement to put out there when he's just
because Zach Merritt was basically just saying everything around. I don't want to be here anymore.
There's no way I'm being at this club next year, and I don't think any player wants him there either.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get it too. I mean, the Essendon players probably sitting there like, this was our leader 3 months, like a month ago, and now he's fucking wanting to leave. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand that he wants to leave for magnitude of reasons, but he needed to do it a lot better than what he did.
Oh yeah,
I think I said it in the trade video throughout the week, that he needed to just come out with a trade request at the end of the year. Yeah, I think he should have just done it that way, been upfront about it, not tittle around and have interviews and meetings with Sam Mitchell.
He still hasn't nominated a club. He still hasn't nominated anything. He's still not said that he's leaving or anything confirmed.
Yeah,
he's just let it happen. Let the media go for it.
Yeah,
and it doesn't show a lot of respect to Essendon. And I don't know. I don't want to say character's been thrown through the window, but like what he's built through his character, for his leadership, but it's dented it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Kane Corn said last week, I think it says that the premiership doesn't mean as much if he does go to Hawthorn and win a premiership. David King was got his back up about that. I don't know if it takes away from a premiership, but I believe that if he played for a different club and he left in better terms or a better way, I think that I would completely understand, and I do understand to an extent why he's leaving or why he wants to leave. Sorry, but you can't. The way he's done it, I don't really respect it all the way he's doing it.
Nearly 2-3 months ago, he's been in the footy shows and stuff like that, and he said he's so adamant he wants to stay.
Yeah.
Within 2 or 3 months, he's gone. Let's be honest, in 3 or 4 years, not 3 or 4 years, maybe 10, 15 years, a player looks back on Zach Merritt. What are you going to remember? A premiership player, a captain. You're going to remember that. The die-hard Essendon fans will remember how it finished, but most people will realise that he was a premiership player at Hawthorn, if that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know,
we've seen players do this before, though. Like a couple of Richmond players have left their... Brett Deledio, of course. He left thinking he was going to get success at the Giants. Maybe this is the catalyst. Maybe it's Don Flag for 2026. Who knows?
I'd be shocked if it... No, they don't
Flag
have any...
dogs.
They got no one.
Yeah,
on their list. Sorry. Yeah, you could think of it could be a Brett Deledio 2.0, but I don't think it is. But...
Yeah, I mean, no one really counted Richmond to win in 2017, though, either. I mean, did anyone really think they were going to win it after that 100-point belting against the Swans?
I love how you always remember that.
Well, it is always brought up by Richmond as well. Don't just say it's the Swans. It's all Richmond. It's like, we stuck with Dimmer, and then he won us a premiership. It's like, I think everyone hates Brad Scott. Well, I mean, Jordan Ridley did want to stay. He said now that he wants to stay at the club.
Fuck knows.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, at least he's committed, Dave said, so it would be wrong to think that maybe tomorrow he says, I'm going to Brisbane now.
Well, I mean, maybe he's their next captain. Maybe he is. So, let's get into the rest of the Brownlow stuff. I mean, overall, Matt Rao, like we said, he's a deserving winner. I don't mind the idea that he got the Brownlow. Like, if he won it in different circumstances, I think everyone would be on board saying, great win from Matt Rao. And I think that most people have the thought that Matt Rao's awesome. We love him as a player. He's great to have a Brownlow medal. But how the hell did you get 3 votes in some of these games?
Yeah, and the thing is that when he started his career, like the first 4 rounds of the season when in his debut year, he had like 12 votes. He had 9
it was 3 games, 3 votes.
Yeah, three in a row. Like you could see that was going to happen. He would, if it wasn't this year, he was eventually going to win a Brownlow.
Yeah,
you'd think. But the way it happened tonight, on Monday night, there's a lot of games that. Like, predictions mean nothing when they say predicting the votes, but some of the games he played, he wasn't in the best 3.
Yeah.
Or the best player on the field.
Yeah. So I've got him here. Central Footy's actually put a little flick together, basically, a bunch of pictures, basically going through the games where he got where he got his votes. So we'll have a look. So we got a 3-vote game against the West Coast Eagles in round 1. He had 30 touches, 10 clearances, 8 tackles. That's pretty fair. I would say just on statistics. I know statistics aren't everything, and the umpires see it differently.
Well, they don't even get the stats, but
yeah. So, but I mean, you'd think that's okay. In round 3 against Melbourne, he also got a 3-voter after 36 touches. This one here in round 4 kind of shocked me. I remember watching this game at the Crows v Gold Coast. Yeah. I think Riley Philthorpe was widely seen as the best player on the ground.
Oh, he was, definitely.
Yeah. But for some reason, Matt Rowell with 17 touches got the 3 votes against Adelaide.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a shock. North Melbourne with 26 touches. That was in gather round. I wasn't at the game, unfortunately, I couldn't tell. But apparently he had a pretty decent one. And then in round 7 against the Swans, this was a shocker. This one shouldn't have happened. He got 16 touches, kicked the goal, 5 clearances, got the 3 votes. I don't think so.
I don't even remember if they won that game, didn't they? Or...
yeah, they won against the Swans in the second half. But I believe that game, looking way back, I think it was Bailey Humphrey who was our best player in the Boundary Riders votes. But yeah, that was ridiculous. And then in round 9, he had 20 touches, 5 clearances, 2 tackles. 2 tackles from Matt Rowell, and the game's pretty low, by the way.
Yeah.
It's probably the lowest of the year against the Bulldogs. That's another 3-voter. That's all right. Round 10 against Hawthorn. He got 29 touches, 9 clearances, 9 tackles. He only gets 2 votes against Hawthorn.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, guys. You don't get the 3 here, Matty, all right? You haven't had your 16 touches. So then he's got another 3 against the Giants, 24 against the Melbourne with 20. That's not too bad. 15 disposals against Essendon and got 2 votes, but he did have 17 tackles. I don't think that... I can't believe that he's got more tackles than disposals, and he's got 2 votes.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you want to go... That's fine.
That's what... In my eyes, that's a good game. But
yeah.
But it's not... I don't think it's votes, basically. I don't think it's like 2 votes. Maybe 1's enough, but 2's not. No.
And then the game against Collingwood in round 18. 32 touches, 12 clearances, 13 tackles, 2 votes. Couldn't even get the 3.
Yeah, and he kicked 2 goals as well, which you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like...
That was the game... I think that was the game when Noah Anderson kicked that goal of the year, and he was very good as well. Yeah. And Josh Dacos had that brilliant last quarter. But surely, I remember watching this game. I think we did give Matt Rowell the 3 votes in this one. This is another indicator, guys, as to why I keep on saying the Brownlow medal is dead, and to watch the BR medals every single year, because we keep on getting it right.
And we're not like... We do look at the stats, but you don't need to have your... It's amazing. They have 4 umpires on the field. As we'll probably get into it in a minute with one other player, which was shock. I watched the game. You see Matty Rowell. You see that he had the best. He was the best on the field. You don't need to have 4 umpires in there clueless to know who the 3 best players are on the field.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of... I mean, I don't know how it happens really. Like maybe they should... Do you think they should look at the stats?
Yes. Or someone suggested, like, everyone has the KO minis. Let's be honest, like, just to watch the highlights after the game. It's not, I'm not saying that if you watch the highlights and Matty Rowell's not in the game, you're not going to notice that he's there. But it might click into one of the umpires' minds and be like, oh, I remember that that Matty Rowell did play a really good game in that, even though he's not on the highlight reel as much.
Yeah.
You might click in their mind. It was like, oh, he did do that. I remember that happening. So you never know how that happens.
To give a bit of an out to the umpires, I will say, there are some times when I watch a game and I do have to look at the statistics to say, oh yeah, you know what, thinking about it now in second thought, maybe he deserved a bit better.
In some,
yeah, and I think also, like, the umpires got so much to go through to then get him after the game when it's just all happened, not really much. You like, all right, can you write your 3, 2, 1 quickly?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe that's a bit tough, but also there's a couple. We'll get to the one in a moment. We'll keep on going with Matty Rowell. He also got 2 votes against the Crows, 30 touches, 12 clearances, 9 tackles. That was in a losing team by 64 points. That's pretty decent, and I think Matt Rowell was one of the better players on the ground.
Yeah, I remember that. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he did end the season quite strong. I think in every single game, bar one, maybe in the last 9 rounds, he polled.
I knew he was going to come home strong when he was leading by around about 9 or 10. You just realised he had such a good run home that he's polling votes in games that he shouldn't be. But when later in the year he will poll votes in games he should.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew it was going to come, that he was going to win.
Yeah. So he had Brisbane 3 votes in round 20 with 37 touches, 15 clearances, 12 tackles. I mean, that's a really good game from Matt Rao. That's a 3-vote game from Matt Rao. Against Richmond in round 21, he only got 1 vote. I mean, I think it's the only one. He only had a couple of 1-vote games.
I think he only got 1 game with the 1 vote.
Yeah, he was very good. And then a couple of 3s, a couple of 2s to end the season. Got 2 votes in round 24's, 1 in each of the last 2 games in round 24. He got 1 against Port and 1 against Essendon.
The one against Port, he didn't play that well.
He didn't play that well. He had a shocker.
Yeah, but he was the only one in the first half that actually played well for the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But I think it was in the first quarter, actually. It was the first quarter, and then I think Port tagged him out of it.
Yeah.
So, but he did play well for 1 quarter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's ridiculous.
But that's ridiculous.
We were at that game.
Yeah, he wasn't
literally.
good. He wasn't good in the. There was, I think if I remember, it went for in the Boundary Riders. It was Butters, Rosie, Georgiades.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Georgiades
sure.
kicked like 4 goals in the game.
Yeah.
And Rosie had 34 disposals, and Butters just dominated the whole match with like 35 plus.
Well, looking at I know statistics, but he had 5 clearances and 21 touches. That's not a Matt Rao good game.
That's not a game for Rao. That's the
It's not a Matt Rao good game, And then he had I know you can't say like every single week like 1 vote is worth 1 vote for that game, but he had 1 vote against Port, 21 touches, 5 clearances, 3 tackles. Against Essendon, a couple of days later.
6 days later.
6 days later, whatever it was, he had 31 touches, 2 goals, 5 clearances and 8 tackles. So, he beats pretty much every single stat there. 2 goals as well from a midfielder. Pretty good. He gets 1 vote as well against Essendon.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, but look, despite all of that, the shocker of the night, round 20, Melbourne v St Kilda. It's a guy named Nasai Wanganeen-Miller, fighting for a contract of $2 million here. This basically put change that 1 to a 0 to a 2.
Yeah.
Drag St Kilda over the line from 46 points down in the final term to win the game pretty much single-handedly.
Oh, no, it was single-handedly.
Yeah.
It wasn't almost. It was.
Single-handedly drags his team over the line. 2 votes. So come on. No, I don't care.
You just know the reaction from the whole. We've all heard the audio. The biggest, funniest thing was the biggest laugh was from the Melbourne table.
Yes.
Out of the whole thing when they said 3 votes, Jay Viney. No way.
No way. I'm sorry. You cannot be giving Jack Viney 3 votes in that game. Now, I've seen a couple of people say the fact that in the final, for the first 3 quarters, St Kilda were out of it, and Jack Viney was extremely good. Okay, I get you, but surely a 4-goal match-winning performance in the final term. This is supposed to be the best and fairest. I'm sorry. I know we just talked a minute ago about how Matt Rao had a very good first quarter against Port Adelaide and then kind of came off it. Nasai had a pretty decent game until that point. He was one of their few good St Kilda players. For them to fight back single-handedly off this guy's back, ridiculous he hasn't got 3 votes here. I mean, look, if you're an umpire and you're sitting there, you're watching this game, by the way, surely just to save face, surely you go, look, guys, we have to give Nasai 3 votes.
It has to be. It has to be. He's Nasai. And like I said before, there's 4 umpires on the field. If not one of those 4 doesn't say to the other 3, but like, it's Nasai. It has to be Nasai Wanganeen-Malira's 3 votes.
Did you see the last quarter where he took a specky to kick a goal and then kicked the match winner on the siren? Did you see that?
Everyone within 10Ks, everyone in Australia that watches AFL knows that Nasai Wanganeen-Malira was the 3-vote game.
Yeah.
That's a 3-voter easily. It's not penciled in. That was a permanent marker before the game finishes. It's 3 votes.
Yeah. I think everyone was just in the room was just like not really caring. They're like listening to it. They're like, oh, Matt Rao looks like he could win it here or whatever. They're probably a little bit bewildered by the fact that he's got a couple of like 3-vote games after 15 touches.
And they're getting having a bit more alcohol. They're getting a bit more tipsy, you know. And
Yeah.
then everyone just lit up. Like, wait, what?
What the hell? They went 2 votes, Langany and Miller, and they were like, what? And then there were 3 votes, Jay Viney, and everyone's like, what?
No way.
And then the pans off to the Melbourne side. Max Gawn's howling. Christian Petrarca's got his hands up in his head.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell has just happened?
Yeah, and then the other thing that some people may have forgotten, the lead up to the goal to win the game. Jay Viney's on the wing, nowhere near Nasiah, and just watches it happen.
Yeah.
In no man's land. Like, it absolutely... That was the moment, as some people have already said. That was the moment the Brownlow was dead. And someone needs to help the umpires out in a small way. I don't know how you do it, but
I think it's
maybe
simply just let them look at the stats.
Stats is...
But I mean,
But
if
that
we
was the moment there. You don't need a stat sheet to tell me that Nasiah was the best player on the field in that game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. That just... I would actually like it. I think someone mentioned this last year. I think it could have been Mitch Robinson or something. But he said, why don't we get like a little video or a clip from the umpires just explaining their votes? Like, I mean, similar to what we do with a review. Why don't they just explain it after the game?
Yeah.
Like, just a little explanation would go a long way. I think would just be a little bit of like, you know, especially like for that one, for example, just to give a little 20-second clip to just let us know. And then, you know, you throw them all away if they're not useful. But surely everyone in the AFL world is asking, how the hell did you give 3 votes to Jack Viney over Nasiah here? Surely they could have just like, all right, this is their explanation. And I mean, yes, we could probably, you know, complain about the explanation from the umpire, but at least we'd have a reasoning for it.
Yeah.
To just see 3 votes from Jack Viney. And I mean, look, the one thing I will say is Melbourne handled it very well on social media.
Yeah.
They have absolutely, like, basically made it a joke about it. Like, I think it's really good from
Yeah,
them.
and that's the kind of thing you need. Like, you can say it's like, oh, you shouldn't do it, but it was so hilarious. Like, and what was the way? Like, they led into it. They led into it in a way that, you know, that these people these days like, you know, they led into it. He shouldn't deserve 3 votes. We completely, you know, forget about what happened. We totally won that game and just led into it in a bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. So, I mean, good on everyone else for, like, kind of ragging on it. What would you do? Like, let's leave it on this. What would you do for the umpires here? Would you? I mean, because I don't think we should give it to someone else. I think the Brownlow has always been the umpires, but I think they need something to help with.
I think you either do the stats, but for me, I think it's like watch the 5-minute highlights at the end that come out half an hour after the game. I think just watch that because it might click into one of the umpires' minds and be like, oh wait, no, he played pretty well. Like, yeah, it's not well, and also some people are saying that Matty Rao, because he was giving the ball back to the umpires all the time, that he's noticed. So I thought that was pretty funny as well. Like, but you know, you be the teacher's pet, they're gonna notice it.
Well,
by giving the ball back.
I mean, Nick Dacos bridesmaid yet again. He was in second.
Now they're saying what medals for second and third place.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that. It's like, no, bro, we're not giving the silver Brownlow medal.
I'm sorry, but I don't think Nick Dacos wants that. He was so adamant. Like he when he lost it, he was like, he wouldn't want to come on stage and grab a silver medal for it.
Yeah,
you could
exactly.
see that he was disappointed. He was shocked. Well, I think he was a little shocked. He didn't win it.
He's like, why the fuck is Matt Rao keep on getting all these 3 votes for 17 disposals?
Yeah, and it's like he doesn't want to go up on stage, do a little speech that he came in second.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. Imagine the person in third. He's like, oh, this is the first ever third place Brownlow medal award.
You might as well give a bloody a participation medal to the person who's got 1 vote. Like Willem Drew still hasn't got a Brownlow vote for Port Adelaide. Never have got one. So what, are you going to give him a participation medal when he gets 1 vote one year? Come on.
I think it's ridiculous that.
Give him the at the end of the day. I think just maybe watch a highlight reel of it. That's what I would say.
I'm probably on the side more of the statistics. Just give them the basic statistics, disposals, maybe clearances or whatever. There were a couple of other games as well. Like I think Jesse Hogan against Geelong kicked 6 goals or 7 goals.
7.
He didn't even get a vote. Yeah. It's like, I mean, this is completely a midfielder's award now, obviously. I mean, it's pretty much always. It's probably been for the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
But, come on. Surely, you got to do a bit better than that.
I think that it showed in the stat. I think Sench was the one who did it. Comparing the coaches' awards to the Brownlow. It's like, it's not that it's not like they could see different perspectives of it. But Jesse Hogan kicked 7 goals against Geelong. I think he polled 10 coaches' votes.
Yeah.
How can you be so off on that? Like, it doesn't need to be a midfielder's award to just award him maybe 1 vote.
Yeah. Maybe just give him 1, just to make him feel a bit
to
better.
Kick 7 goals these days is something pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, here, I've actually got it here. I think it was actually 7 AFL who posted it. So 10 coaches' votes for 0 Brownlow votes. So Toby Green in round 1 and Jared Witts in round 1 both got shafted. We were actually talking about this a moment ago with Matt Rao getting 3 votes against the Crows. And we said Riley Thilthorpe, pretty much everyone was saying he was the best on the ground. That was in round 4. So he actually didn't poll the vote in that game. Scrolling down the list a little bit, there's a couple of other ones. Brodie Grundy in round 17 for the Swans had a really good period. Only got 6 votes throughout the afternoon, so throughout the night, which is pretty ridiculous. Jesse Hogan is that one there in round 9 against Geelong, I would imagine. But there's a lot of ones there that's just, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, we're never going to I don't think we can really lose the prestige of the Brownlow medal. I know people will say, like, oh my God, who cares about the Brownlow anymore? But I mean, we always have, that's the big event before that's basally the grand final week beginning.
That's when you know that it's grand final week.
Yeah.
There's always that, like, I can always say, like, you've got to go against tradition. But in this instance of the Brownlow, I don't think you can. You can
So I think they need to fix it.
Yeah, try and help them out, but you can't change it to, like, give it to a different person or a different thing, but help the umpires, help them, give them a bit of a hand. Give them a hand. Yeah,
I think that's what the way we should be doing it. Give them something to help them out, and then if it's still bad, then I don't know. Maybe we change them around. The Brownlow medal can go on. I don't know. We don't reveal the coaches' votes anymore. We make the coaches award on Monday night before the grand final, and then the Brownlow can go to, I don't know. But I mean, I think I don't want to really because I enjoy the Brownlow. I like the idea of it. I think that it should be the award for the best player of the season. And I think at the end of the day, I'm like we said at the start, I'm not disappointed that Matt Rao has been noted as the best player of the year according to the umpires, the AFL basically. It's just the way it kind of happened.
Yeah, and also if you give him a bit of a hand, maybe the actual umpiring will get better because they have less things to worry about than literally have to do the Brownlow votes now. What are we doing? Actually have the umpiring helped a bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what do I know?
Who the fuck knows at this point? Maybe that will be something that will be talked about. But every single year, I mean, over the last couple of years, it seems like we've had this issue, and then we get to it and we're like, oh no, they're not going to get any help. They're not going to get there's no changes to the Brownlow, and then we're like, oh okay, great. So we're just going to have Paddy Cripps getting 45 votes again. Like, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
So let's move on. Let's preview the grand final. So overall, we'll get to the tips and that. We'll probably put this clip in a moment. But the big story coming out today, Lachie Neale is pretty much all but certain to be playing. It is almost, it's ridiculous. I can't believe Brisbane are playing him. Now look, one way you can look at it is the grand final. He's one of your best players. You might as well risk it for a grand final. I kind of see it that way. But there's so many instances when we have seen teams get done by picking out from your heart, not your head.
Yeah.
So we talk about it a little bit in the preview. But when you saw this news today, what were your initial thoughts?
They've lost the grand final even before the first bounce.
Yeah.
And you only have to look at the game last week. Pendlebury did an injury before the game. They've admitted that he had a slight injury from the qualifying final that's led into the prelim. Within 5 minutes, he's done an injury. He's done, and you've just cost a player that's a full healthy player.
Well, I mean, who knows? They could have played Rowan Steele from the start, and potentially Bobby Hill could have been the sub.
Yeah.
Or someone else.
And they've also admitted that Myercheck was slightly injured. They had to drug him up with things. But once the drugs wore off, he couldn't do anything. Now, Dan McStay is a capable bloody forward. Capable. He could have been a game changer. You never know. He could have had He could have had a Ty Gallop kind of game and won them the game. But you don't. But to have hampered Myercheck at full forward, you're not going to win a game. You need all 22 players that you're at their maybe not at their best, but at least capable of running out of a game.
And I think as well, Jeremy Howe was under an injury issue
yeah.
on the second half. He couldn't run it out.
I think that was always going to be an issue as well, because in the second half you could tell he wasn't ready either. He wasn't going to be able to run out of the game, and someone also brought this out today. Like, who would you rather? He said he'd rather Bruce Reveal as the starting sub than having a full fit Neil, than having a half fit Neil going at this game. That within 5 minutes, a calf injury, as badly as it looked when he did it, is not 3 weeks.
Well, 2.5 weeks, isn't it? I mean, he did it in the qualifying final.
Yeah,
so it's less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it's a huge risk, and and then you look at Sydney in the 2022, which 2022, and then last year as well, they carried injured players into the grand final, and it
was Sam Reid in 2022, and it was
Logan McDonald
last year.
And
I mean, look at Logan McDonald. He played in that grand final, had hardly any impact, and didn't even play in 2025.
Yeah, it's just...
So, I mean, there's such a big risk that Lachie Neale... I mean, look, it may not be as... Look, the thing is as well, I am more than happy to have egg on my face. Brisbane come out in the grand final win. Lachie Neale has even if he just has a good performance, I'm more than happy to have egg on my face at the end of this, and Lachie Neale plays a good game of football, gets through the game, shows everyone up wrong who's questioned this decision.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to, because I would love to see Brisbane go and win this game.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I think that most people agree, this is a huge risk, borderline too big for a grand final.
Yeah. I think that there's too many players it's not a selfish move, but I just think that they need to just take their heart out of it and be like, is this best for the team? I just think that it's just, someone needs to be like, you can't do this. 3 weeks is not enough to get you through. 3 weeks, after it happened, he's like, it looks like a calf, it's a bad calf, you're out for the season. That's what the reports were. And of course Neil's going to try and get back for it, but I think Fagan really should have just said to him after the game, like, I can't. We want to win.
Think about a couple of players that haven't won one yet, like Oscar McInerney, probably the big one out there. And then you got a couple of the younger kids, the Ashcroft, younger Levi Ashcroft, Darcy Gardner as well, Ty Gallop in his first. There's a couple of others as well, but there's so many players that, especially you think more about the older ones in the situation, like Gardner and McInerney, who obviously missed out last year. McInerney was a lot more heartbreaking. Gardner was never going to really be in that team.
No.
But you just think about those two. If they go on, if they get done in the first quarter, we saw in the second quarter how the Swans were just completely done. They were all out of it, and then Logan McDonald couldn't play it out. So if that happens, Lachie Neale's going to be after one. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, a lot of pressure on Chris Fagan, and you'd probably expect a bit of an apology from them guys to go to a McInerney and Gardner and say, look, we're really sorry. I mean, even if Lachie Neale believes that he can make it through, it's going to be tough if they go and lose this game and Lachie Neale's underdone and doesn't perform at all. Like, he's going to have to perform well, because there's also a couple of other players that, got big knocks against Collingwood last week. Lohman was a bit in and out of the game, down the rooms and back up. Josh Dunkley also got a bit of a knock. I'm sure they'll be I think he was in a moon boot after the game as well.
Yeah, that's what they said. But I think it was a twisted ankle or something, like very much.
Yeah, something on the minor side.
Yeah.
And of course, Jared Berry, which we haven't really heard much news about him as of yet.
For him, there's no chance, because the fact is he only did it in round 23 or 24.
Yeah, he did it in round 23 against Freo, and then this 24.
To do it so frequently in a matter of 6 weeks, sadly you can't take the risk.
Yeah.
If he lunged to Dacos to tackle it, that's going to happen in the grand final once at least.
Jared Berry's that sort of player too.
Jared Berry's the one who's going to run into the contest and do it. Yeah. So if he does it the first 5 minutes, dislocates his shoulder, he's not coming back.
Yeah, exactly. They can't put it back in. We saw that what happened last week. But look, overall. Look, we'll get to the rest of the preview now. I do want Brisbane to win it, but it's going to be tough, I think. I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I think it will be a close game, but I think it's just a tough road if they both play.
Yeah. So now let's get to the rest of the preview for the grand final. And welcome to the grand final preview. This is going to be the best on YouTube, of course. I would never lie to you guys. It is actually way back at the start of the year. I predicted not only the grand final matchup between Brisbane and Geelong, but I actually predicted the last four. I went back and looked at my predictions for the year, and the last four teams in September, I actually got correct. And to show you proof, I'll play it right now. Last year, this would be in Melbourne. I'll go with Hawthorn. Sets up an interesting... look at that. Massive rivals. Geelong versus Hawthorn in the prelim final. I'll go with the Cats, and then Brisbane up against Collingwood. At the Gabba, I'll go Brisbane, which sets up for a grand final against Geelong v Brisbane. And my 2025 premiers at this stage are the Cats. So guys, if that doesn't prove to you that I am the Nostradamus when it comes to AFL and predictions, then I don't know what else to tell you. I predicted this from way back in March. So, I mean, you just have to subscribe to the channel. It is a legal obligation at this point. But let's get to the grand final itself for 2025. The Cats up against Brisbane. It's going to be a heavyweight bout. I think it's probably been the best two teams, especially of the last 5 years or so. Most consistent teams. They've been so good, and they get to play in 2025's grand final. So we're going to be doing this preview a little bit differently. We're going to be starting with the headlines for both teams. So Geelong, first of all, it is who replaces Tom Stewart, and for Brisbane, it is do the Lions risk their star players for premiership glory? Now, we'll start with Geelong's first of all. Who replaces Tom Stewart? Now, there are a few options in my eyes. You got Jed Buse, Mitch Duncan, and George Stevens if they were to pick him as the sub. Did play a few games throughout the year. I think they probably go with Jed Buse in my eyes. I think my brother does say the same. He is a very good defender. Hasn't been able to play much this year, but I do believe that he is the best option. Mitch Duncan, it would be a fairy tale for him to end with another premiership, but I just don't think he's really the right option in my eyes. And the only reason why I went with Stevens is because he's played AFL games this year. We've got other players in the reserves like Ollie Henry and Ted Closey who have played throughout the year, but also a lot of these players haven't been match fit, and it's going to be very interesting. I think they have to go with experience here because there's not like actual match fitness or even VFL fitness. These guys have played a couple of scratch matches, but nowhere near the AFL level. So I think they probably go with the Jed Buse type at this stage. It will be interesting to see what Geelong decide to do. And on Brisbane's point of view, obviously the risking of their stars is talking about Lachie Neale and Jared Berry. Lachie Neale been out with a calf injury since the qualifying final. The latter stages of that game has been out since then. There has been a lot of murmurings regarding if Lachie Neale's going to play. I think it was their assistant coach in Daly who said that he's a 90% chance, and obviously Jared Berry injured his shoulder in the prelim final. I know this is the call that not a lot of people want to hear, and I know it's against the fairy tale, but I can't see Brisbane doing this. I think it would be a terrible idea. We've seen teams go into grand finals with injured players before, and yes, Brisbane did it last year with Lachie Neale, and, you know, it can... I guess there are some circumstances where it does work, but overall, the main consensus of all of this is it just doesn't work. Sydney, the most prime example, as a Swans fan, it's not the right idea to do it, and I don't think they should go down this route. There are players, I mean, they've won themselves a premiership, these two guys. Would they really want to risk, getting another premiership and then potentially, pulling it away from players who have never won one? I don't think it's a selfish call for Lachie Neale to try and push through, but I think that at the end of the day, Chris Fagan needs to make the call and say, look, it's just unfortunate, guys. We understand that you've put your best foot forward for this team this year, but we can't let you play in this game. It's going to hamper any chance of other players potentially winning their first premiership or this club winning another one. So I think, unfortunately, I have to go with the sad call, which is that you have to leave Lachie Neale out and probably Jared Berry as well. But now let's move to the matchups for this game that are going to be oh so important. So first of all, we saw in the qualifying final, these teams only met a few weeks ago, that Mullen absolutely shut down McCluggage, and I think that happens again. And O'Connor absolutely shut down Cam Rayner as well. Yes, he kicked 3 goals, but 2 of them came from a contentious free kick or double free kick. So I think that both of them will take those roles once again. There are some calls that maybe someone should go to Will Ashcroft. Maybe an idea, but I think that's where the two matchups that they should go with at this stage. It worked before. I think you go with it again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, on Brisbane's point of view, Harris Andrews has played his best football in this final series when he's been against the best forward for the team, and I think he does it again. Now, yes, there's been some games where he has played against the second best forward and has been able to come off his opponent, but I think Harris Andrews has proved in this final series that you go to the best player and he just leads from the front. So he goes to Jezza Cameron. It's going to be hard. They're going to have to match up very well on Shannon Neal. Darcy Gardner got almost taken to the cleaners in the opening quarter against Ben King a couple of weeks ago, but he was a lot better last week, so he's going to have to be at his best to stop Shannon Neal, and they're just going to have to be better up there. They didn't concede too many goals against the key forwards of Geelong in the qualifying final, but they're going to have to be a step above that game as well. Now, the last match I want to talk about is Josh Dunkley to Patrick Dangerfield. We saw how much Danger absolutely ripped that prelim final apart against Hawthorn. We'll get to him a little bit later, but Dunkley just has to stop him, at least in the midfield. We've seen him do it very well throughout the year. Josh Dunkley was probably one of their few good performers against the Cats in that qualifying final a few weeks ago, so I think that Josh Dunkley's the guy to do it again. He's been a little bit of an injury throughout that prelim final, but I think he's going to be all good to go. There's going to be nothing stopping him from playing in this grand final, and he's going to have to lift as well, especially if the likes of Jared Berry are out along with Lachie Neale. If they're going to win this grand final, Josh Dunkley's going to have to be one of the guys to lead from the front. But now we'll move to the final segment that we've had throughout the entire previews to the final series. It is the finals focus. So first of all, I'll be giving you guys my players that are in focus for this grand final. For the Cats, it is Patrick Dangerfield, and for the Lions, it is Hugh McCluggage. Now, Paddy Dangerfield, like I said a moment ago, we have seen how good he can be from last week. I kind of thought that it was gone at this point, Patrick Dangerfield's that sort of performance, but even though he's over the age of 30, this guy can still put it on when his team needs it. So Brisbane need to be ready for this. They've kept him throughout the entire year, biding his time, resting him at points. Patrick Dangerfield, Chris Scott has got him red hot and firing at the right time. So Brisbane, they're right in the firing line here. So this is going to be really tough. And if I'm being honest, I can't see the Lions a way that they can stop this from happening. Yes, if he plays in the midfield, Josh Dunkley can go to him and try to negate him at stoppage. But if he drifts forward, Brisbane, yes, they have a very good defence, but it's going to be very tough to stop him, Dangerfield, and all the other forwards that Geelong have. So Dangerfield, I think, is the real thorn in the side of the Lions. But now moving to Hugh McCluggage, his worst game of the year came up in the qualifying final against Geelong, where he had pretty much zero impact thanks to the tag from Oisin Mullen. So I think that will happen again. But no matter what happens with a potential tag, if the Lions are any chance of winning this grand final, McCluggage needs to rise to another level once again. We've seen it in the semi-final and the prelim, how good a player he can be, and has shown why he was an All-Australian this year, but he's just going to have to go to another level again. Yes, Will Ashcroft can play his role and all that sort of stuff, but if Hugh McCluggage isn't at his best, I can't see a way where Brisbane win it. So I think he's pretty much the most important player with Harris Andrews in this grand final, Hugh McCluggage. So now we'll get to my brother's players in focus for this grand final. He's gone with Mark Blitzars for the Cats and Will Ashcroft for the Lions. So Mark Blitzars, first of all, he's put up the point of where does he play? Because obviously Mark Blitzars is the everywhere man. He can go anywhere. No Tom Stewart, so he may be forced to play in the back line, but he thinks he needs to play that ruck/midfield role. Last week, Geelong won the clearance game by 17 plus over Hawthorn. He has the ability to run all day, which will make it very interesting to see who matches up with him. He's such a big body, so it's so hard to even just match up with Mark Blitzars. I wouldn't be too surprised if they play him down back, but I think that I don't mind the call of him playing ruck and midfield as well. So with Will Ashcroft, even if Neale plays or not, McCluggage will likely get the tag, so the Lions midfield will need to be led by Ashcroft on the forward side of their ball movement. Ashcroft needs to step up and show why he was last year's Norm Smith medalist and will likely have to go back to back to get his team over the line here. Now, we've seen his really good performances over the last few weeks in the finals. He's got that clearance game and that forward craft. He hits the scoreboard in both the semi and the prelim. About 35% of scoreboard impact during the final series so far. So he needs to bring that once again for Brisbane to get over the line. But now, guys, of course, let's get to not only our tips, but the Norm Smith medal predictions. So I've leaned between my head and my heart. My heart says Brisbane and my head says Geelong. My heart says Brisbane because I've kind of wanted them to win it throughout the whole year if my team wasn't going to get there. Geelong has always sat there as the team in my head that I think are probably going to win it. So what have I gone with here? I've gone with the Cats to win the grand final by 18 points, and my Norm Smith medalist is Bailey Smith. I think that overall, the injuries and the banged up Lions just are going to find it too tough in my eyes. The Cats have had the nicest of runs going into the finals, and, you know, comparing the two final series these two teams have had, Geelong have had a pretty cruisy run, pretty good win against Brisbane, had the bye, and then even though they were kind of beaten up in the early part of the game against Hawthorn, they pretty much cruised after that point, and they've had that week off. They've got their players red hot, raring to go. Lions have got a lot of injuries right now, players that have been banged up, and I just can't see a way where Brisbane can win it. However, it just does read a little bit like backs against the wall kind of stuff for the Lions. And we've seen so many times before when we underestimate Brisbane, they go to a whole nother level. So I'm going to pick the Cats by 18 points, but who knows? Brisbane could really pull something out here. And they are last year's premiers. So they've been there. This is the third grand final in a row the Lions are there. So they know how to get there. Can they go back to back? I'd really like to see it, but my tip's Geelong. And if Geelong do win it, I want to see Bailey Smith win the Norm Smith, because that speech afterwards is going to be an all-timer. So a little bit of heart stuff there with Norm Smith medalist. I think Bailey Smith can definitely get it done, but the speech afterwards is going to be absolute cinema. But my brother's tip and his Norm Smith prediction. So my brother has gone with Geelong by 27 points, and his Norm Smith medal prediction is Ollie Dempsey. Now, he says that Neil and Berry simply can't play. The Swans had to learn the hard way when they did this last season. Calf injuries, especially how Neil did his, is not just a 3-week injury. If either of them do play, they will lose before the first bounce. So he's put it out there pretty much that they have to put a line through both of them. He's picked the Cats because they're the only team who have been consistent throughout the second half of this year, haven't really put a foot wrong, and their experienced players are on ice and have brought them out at the right time. The Lions will realise in this game they're not having the likes of Danaher and relying on Morris and Gallup, along with a resting ruck up forward, will end up hurting them in the biggest game of the year. So my brother's pretty much brawling it out there that he can't see the Lions are going to win this one. I personally don't believe that's the worst thing their forward line at the moment, but I do understand like the inexperience of the likes of Logan Morris and Gallup may struggle on the biggest stage the last Saturday in September, but I can see them getting it done. I mean, they were in a massive crowd last week and still Gallup performed as one of the best players on the ground. I think the 2025 premiers will be Geelong, but you know, who knows? I think this could be one of the best grand finals we've seen in some time. The Swans aren't there, so luckily for the viewers, they're not going to get absolutely smashed. Hopefully, this is going to be a grand final from the top shelf, as something the Dennis Committee would say. But guys, lastly, thank you for the support throughout the year. Hopefully, we have a great grand final, and make sure to stick around for the channel, the content and stuff, because we're going to be keeping up to date with all the trade period coming up. It's a massive off-season period for a lot of teams. It's going to be a massive trade period, free agency period, probably even the draft as well. Up next, we get to the grand final, Bros Bets, and I mean, it's going to be the biggest one yet, I would imagine. I would hope so.
Yeah, so we're not. I've decided I'm not doing a certainty or, well, it wouldn't be an outside the boundary bet. I'm just going to go the simple same game multi, first goal scorer, and Norm Smith this week. As you'll show on the show in a minute. I'm not going the favourites. You can't go the favourites. I don't think.
Well, if you want the big bucks, you don't go the favourite.
Yeah, I think. But I think some of them are just, they've played very decent. Well, the Norm Smith, I've went with a decent year. I think he could be the match winner, and he's done it a lot this year. But he's not one of the favourites. And the first goal scorer, he's played well at the MCG, and he's had a very down year. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, let's leave it on a couple of. We'll get straight to it now. Let's get to the big grand final, Bros Bets.
Alright guys, let's get into the 2025 Grand Final. As always, we'll start with the same game multi. First leg is Dane Zorko for 25 plus disposals. Second leg is Bailey Smith for 25 plus disposals. Third leg is Darcy Wilmot for 20 plus disposals. And the final leg is Harris Andrews for 15 plus disposals, valued at $5.25. For the first goal of the Grand Final, we'll be taking Charlie Cameron to kick the first, valued at $15. And the last bet we'll be looking at is the Norm Smith. I think Ollie Dempsey will take out Norm Smith this year, valued at $26. And as always, guys, gamble responsibly.
And finally, guys, we're going to get to a bit of trade news to end this episode. No flog of the week this week, although Eddie Maguire was, I think, we can give Eddie Maguire the call anyway for having a fucking whinge about, Mason Cox got his goggles taken off his eyes. Shut up, bro.
It's like, well, for everybody else, it was really funny.
Everyone else, like, get over yourself.
I just wanted to point.
I did say in that clip as well from Jimmy Bartelli, was like, well, how about he stop buddy acting like a bit of a wanker and go at Dane Zorko if you don't want to if you don't want to fucking get the heat back at you, yes, he probably shouldn't have grabbed at his eyes, but fucking, if you want to face some fucking heat, then don't fucking have a go at someone.
And I just want to put it out there. Sam McClure was definitely not right when he's the top 3 ruckman in the game, because he's played he played a role, but he did. Did he make the grand final because he played such a great game? No, they didn't. So.
Considering Harris Andrews was on him,
he dominated. He was the best on the field. Yeah. Harris Andrews,
and he did nothing to stop him either. Buddy, Mason Cox got absolutely fucking destroyed.
Oh, yeah, so we'll just leave it at that.
Anyway, let's get to the trade preview throughout the last couple of days. Of course, we had the trade video on Monday. Apologise for the audio in that video. I hopefully fixed it. My mistake, obviously. But we've had one request made in the last few days, which is Buku Kamas has decided to, or wants to be traded to Carlton. I think this is a very underrated get for them.
Yeah, I think especially when Silvani's going, I think he can go forward if he need, which I doubt. Well, could be interesting without Kerno, but he can play both ends, and he's shown decent signs over the course of his career.
I'm going to do a Sam McClure here. Wait, do you think that Charlie Curnow is going to leave?
Yes.
You think 100%. He's going to leave?
Yeah.
Are you putting it out there right now? Wow. That's a big call. I hate when he does that. Anyway, well, let's get to the rumours, because that's really the only call request at this stage. So, Christian Petrarca, first of all. Kind of Sydney have kind of fallen off the track at this point. No one's really talking about him going to the Swans, even though it was kind of a talking point early on. There's been a lot of confidence from Adelaide that they can try and get Petrarca to the club. He seems that he's warming up to a life in South Australia. But also the Gold Coast Suns aren't ruling themselves out either, thinking that maybe Sam Flanders, who was requested, I think it was last week, that he wanted to request a trade outside of the Gold Coast, that he could be within a deal for Melbourne if he decides he wants to go there. I don't know about that one, to be honest. But there's also other reports saying that he's going to be staying at the club. That's what Max Gawn said anyway.
So pretty much it's, they don't know. They don't know.
So we've got Hawthorn in the race. We've got Gold Coast, Adelaide, and then the Swans are probably down at bottom now. I mean, or Melbourne he stays. I don't know. This is very hard to judge at this point.
I think the fact is he's still got a couple of years left on the contract, that it's what best suits Melbourne. I think that if Melbourne can get a trade done with the right team, they'll say, you've got an offer from Gold Coast. That's our best offer. Do you want to go up there?
Yeah.
Or if not, well, we're going to keep you for another year at least.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where we're at. I personally think that he will be at Melbourne next year. I just think that's the case.
I think that as well.
I mean, considering last year, there was a lot more speculation regarding him wanting to leave. This year, they're kind of saying that he'd be happy to stay. I feel like with a contract still there, I think Stephen King, he feels like the guy who would want a Christian Petrarca type in his team.
That's what I think, is that if Melbourne didn't have a coach, I think you'd be more inclined to leave. The fact is that they have a coach. Yes, it's Stephen King. They don't know what they're going to get, basically. But I think that he holds a bit of stability that they have the coach.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, I think that also... He seemed like he had a pretty good night at the Brownlow, I guess. Max Gawn... there was a bit of a report as well that he was talking to, I think, the CEO or something to do with Hawthorn. So that's a great report. You love to see that. Love those sort of reports. You know, I saw him having dinner at... Dustin Martin having dinner at the Gold Coast with Damien Hardwick. I think he's going to be playing the Gold Coast next year, and it just never happened. But I mean, look, the Dan Rioli one was kind of true, wasn't it? Anyway, on good signs for Melbourne, Judd McVie looks pretty positive signs right now that he will be staying at Melbourne. That's good signs for them. I'm not too surprised by that. It was either them or Fremantle. I'd be a bit surprised if... I mean, I think there was probably a lot more speculation because of Simon Goodwin leaving.
Yeah.
Getting sacked. But yeah, I mean, I think that's good for Melbourne. And there's a couple of teams that could be looking at maybe Melbourne as well. There was a bit of a reporting regarding Bailey Humphrey. A lot of clubs trying to just get into the Gold Coast, say, hey, you know, a lot of clubs, especially who are losing big players, are like, we want Bailey Humphrey, but Gold Coast pretty much said hands off. We don't want to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, I've heard reports that he loves Gold Coast. He'll be a player for his career at the Gold Coast. I know he'll never leave. I'm confident in saying that.
Yeah, there was some talk. Oh, you're doing the opposite.
I'm confident. I'm taking it. Yeah,
he's not leaving.
Yeah, he's not. I'll confidently say it. Bailey Humphrey will never leave the Gold Coast. I'll be confident on that.
He's made a big call there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. He's not leaving Mitch.
You can clip it now, and you can be like, in 4 years, like, he's requested a trade, but I'm that confident.
Yeah, I think there was some reports earlier on in his career that there was a bit of homesickness, but he seems like he's pretty happy up there now. Brody Mychek's being linked to a couple of clubs, Carlton, Melbourne, and Sydney. It seems like Melbourne are probably the front runners at this stage. We'll get to a bit of Sydney in a moment, but at the moment it's pretty much up in the air. He's got a bit of a decision to make at this stage. I feel like he leaves, to be honest. I think that I've lent towards him staying, but I think after that performance in the prelim final, and I think Collingwood are starting to lean over to, oh shit, we got way too old now.
Yeah.
We kind of need to get a couple of younger players in. We need to kind of let go of some of these older players. I think Brody Mychek's probably on the out.
Sadly, I think he is. I think that... what do you think he's worth, though? I think that he's worth a second.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worth a first.
He's too old for a first.
And... in a way, he's not the big bustling forward that a Melbourne or a Carlton need.
Well, he's never kicked more than 50 goals.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be that sort of player for a club. He's going to be consistent, but, well, if he's fit anyway. I mean, I think the second half of this season, he's been pretty poor, really. So I think if I'm Collingwood, you probably let him go. I think they will let him go. Melbourne, that's the thing, though, like you said with Melbourne. Is that the player they need? I mean, they need a key forward, but... He's now going to get the top defender.
Yeah. Do you think Stephen may go and return in a way? Like, that's the potential that I think that could happen, is that's when Stephen May moves to Collingwood, and stability for the next couple of years for Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, and just to help them a bit for the stability down back.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad call.
If that was me for list management for Collingwood, that's what I'd be asking. It's like, I want him for Stephen May.
Yeah. I think that, if I'm being honest, I think that's a little bit unders for Melbourne, to be honest. I think that's probably
picks, but I'd be offering straight away. It's like, well, if you want Mychek, it's like, well, then we want Stephen May. That's how I
think it's a pretty similar age bracket as well. However, with Jack Buller pretty much requesting a trade from the Swans to Collingwood, people are saying that could be the replacement for going Sydney's way. Now, some people are saying that Jack Buller will be the replacement for Brody Mychek, but he has been linked to Sydney at times. The more I think about it, the more I think that it would be an okay idea, considering the other options the Swans have been looking at. It seems at this point in time, even though Charlie Curnow's still got the links with the Swans, it seems more than likely that he's going to be going either Geelong, Gold Coast, and then it's either staying at Carlton or going to the Swans. Because Sydney, I just don't get how Geelong get this done, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, we'll get to Curnow in a moment. Jamie Elliott's still got a decision on his hand. He's got a lot of interest from the northern state, obviously, of Queensland, in Brisbane and the Gold Coast. More on the Gold Coast point of view, but Brisbane still have interest. I still think he stays.
It'll be interesting, but the thing is, if you look at the Gold Coast forward line, if they bring in Curnow or an Elliott, does it mean that someone like... because they've admitted Gold Coast, they're not trading Walter or Reid. If I'm both of them, I'm looking at maybe leaving. Because if you bring in Elliott, who do you leave out? Because you're going to have Long in the team, you're going to have Bailey Humphrey up forward, King, and some others. It's like...
you're going to need two keys. So they're picking from Reid, who had a pretty poor final series, but you know the potential.
Yeah.
Jed Walter, who wasn't in the team towards the end of the year.
Farah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting what their forward line looks like if they can grab Elliott. But then you look at the players who will probably leave, delisted or retire by the end of next year. Nick Holman, I don't think gets a spot. Farah, I don't think will get a spot.
He may get dropped.
I think he gets dropped by the end of next year.
Okay.
At the end of next year, that people like Holman will lose their spot. Because you got to think, like, Ainsworth as well is still there.
Yeah, I was going to say Ainsworth.
Elliot Himmelberg, I know he's been injured, but he was a tall forward option. It's just like they've got a lot of players, and obviously, of course, you got to think of academy stuff that they've got to come in as well. So it's going to be interesting how much of a squeeze that you want to get this talent in, and the potential of the players of Elliott. But what are you going to lose in the meantime? Because you've got Elliott for 2 years, maybe 3. Walter, you can have 15 years.
Question is as well, Jamie Elliott's had an outstanding year, but this is his best year of his career.
Yeah.
Has he got? I don't want to say he hasn't got any more in him, because I think he can. But is he going to be that sort of player for the next 3 years? that's a bit hard to say.
It's kind of like when you look at Taylor Walker. He had such a great year 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and he just went down from there. It's like, are you gonna bring in Elliott and expecting him to get 50 goals? No, I wouldn't think he'd do that again.
Yeah.
He's never got more than 45. I don't think before this year.
Yeah, I don't think he got past more than 40.
Yeah,
but
40. It's like, it's a big hole to fill. It's a big player to have. But you might be hampering your youth coming through to play senior football.
Yeah.
And you don't want that for such a team like Gold Coast.
Yeah, well, I honestly think the Gold Coast, their list is probably one of the best in the comp. And I think they got that finals experience this year. Great. I mean, no one expected them to win a game. So for them to win is great. And I think everyone kind of forgot before that game the Dimmer factor.
Yeah.
Obviously how great that is and how much he brings to a finals team. But the thing is as well, they have great youth and they have very good experienced players. But yeah, I mean, they don't want to lose. They don't want to have someone want to go out. Like Reed and Walter, yes, but even Humphrey, who we know he's not going to leave, but there could be a player around that mark who could decide to go, and you don't want to see them fall off because they've let go of too many youth players because they wanted to get some really experienced players for a couple of years.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they'll get it in pretty good stead. I don't think that Damien Hardwick will do what he did to the Tigers really and just cull all their small players and younger players and then leave them in the situation he kind of did.
And then and if Brisbane, as you said, Queensland teams, they've got one of the best forward lines in the game. Bringing in Elliott, what does it mean? Like a Lohman or a Gallup or one of their smalls, other players that are there that I can't think of right now, lose their spot. To bring in Elliott, it's going to hamper them, I think, in a way that's...
Well, they've already got Oscar Allen coming in as well.
You've got Oscar Allen coming in already as well. So you got to think, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
It'll
be an interesting call for whichever club. I still think he stays at Collingwood, but I think it's going to be an interesting call in the next couple of days. Now, on Jamara Ugle-Hagan, it seems that in his exit interview, he's kind of been... it's either been told or it's been confirmed at this moment after the exit meeting that he's going to be looking for a new home. He's been widely speculated to be going to the Swans, or they've been having interest in him for quite a while now. But now it seems all of a sudden that the Gold Coast have emerged as a contender for him. He's obviously the Suns. We've talked about him a minute ago with Charlie Curnow. I am very surprised that he has a market for him, to be honest. And when I showed you this today, you immediately messaged me back and said, no way, because he'd be going to the biggest party state in the country. Yeah. The biggest party city in the country.
Yeah.
Let's just leave him out of those areas
Yeah,
for now.
Let's just be cautious about it. If he wants a career in the AFL, Gold Coast is the last spot I'd probably go to.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. And I don't know if the Gold Coast... I just explained to you why that they don't really need an Elliott type. I know that, but obviously Jamara is a different, younger player. He has the biggest potential in the world. I think it gets wasted at Gold Coast. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, they've got enough tall forwards there.
Exactly.
Young youth talent. They don't need a Jamara.
No.
I think it's very interesting. I thought they'd probably be the last club looking at Jamara, to be honest.
It's the last place if... I'm anyone who wants to see the potential of Jamara wants to go to Gold Coast.
Yeah, I'm still a bit surprised that even though... I'm a bit surprised that Collingwood haven't looked at him a bit more. I think that they need a key forward. And they've always been pretty good at turning players around in my eyes, but maybe he just wants to be out of Victoria. I think it's probably the big one.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Zach Merritt, we talked about this earlier in the podcast, but it seems pretty much at this point that Andrew Welsh is just pretty much just saying, the new Essendon president is saying, look, he's staying. In handcuffs, in the cage, you're going to be brought out for round one in an Essendon jumper. No matter if you're trying to rip yourself out of those handcuffs, you're staying in the Bombers.
He could stay, but I don't. The amount of other teammate who could see him, especially at the Brownlow, who pretty much were livid that he was there. He doesn't. The stance that brings to the players and be like, This guy doesn't even want to be here. He was our captain, and he doesn't even want to be here. Why do we still have him on this list? Basically, I think it won't be all the players. I think some of them could remend bridges, but there might be a few that be like, I don't even want to see him at this club.
Yeah, I think that he's obviously not going to come back and be captain, but maybe there's a little bit of talk here, basically, that he's just trying to play the cards close to his chest here. Andrew Welsh, and just basically saying that, like, look, we're saying he's staying, to basically just up his price from Hawthorn. Maybe that's the way they're playing.
Well, their parents just plummeted his price with what's happened in the last 3 weeks, so they got to try and bank up a bit of credibility for it.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, if the players saying they like don't want him and stuff, probably Hawthorn like, look, he doesn't even. Yeah. You guys don't even want him. We'll take him for like a third.
Yeah, we'll want a third then.
Look, guys, we'll give you some charity. We'll take a second round pick. Yeah. And look, Henry Housewaite can come to us. We'll take Henry Housewaite off your hands. We'll give you guys Henry Housewaite as well. It's like Do you think where do you think he is next year?
He's not at Essendon.
He's gone.
He's gone. I think more basically. I think it was more Andrew being just desperate, saying we're keeping him, like hoping that maybe.
I think he wanted to make a good first impression, showing how strong he is.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's nice to see. Like, at least he shows a bit of passion, saying he's not leaving. But sometimes you just have to give up and be like, he's out the door. He's out the door.
Yeah. I mean, and on good news for Essendon, Jordan Ridley, despite some links to Brisbane and even a point where it looked like he may even request a trade to the Lions, it seems that Mitch Cleary has reported that he is now staying and is more than happy to stay, that he's fully committed. After, it seems like he met with the new medical staff or medical person who's joined the Bombers, and he seems a lot more confident after having a lot of injury woes that they can, help out with his rehab and stuff, and he'll be ripe and ready to go.
Do you think they may have told him, like, if you stay, you'll be captain? I know that might seem very bad, but like a bad thing. But do you think maybe they said that you might be up there in the leadership group or something along
Surely,
those lines?
I mean, maybe, but I think their next captain's got to be Andrew McGrath.
Yeah,
I think it has to be.
I think even late in the year, like when all those injuries, he did a bit more midfield, and he did show a bit more leadership from the midfield.
For me, when I've seen him over the year, even though Zach Merritt I've always saw as, like, before this point, I've always seen him as a great leader. I've always thought that Andrew McGrath would be next up. Yeah. And I think he is their next captain. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't announced it already, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I think that's their next captain. Maybe Jordan Ridley has been told that you'll get a better role. Yeah. Maybe they've paid him a bit more. Maybe just to save a bit of face. Like, look, we're going to lose Zach Merritt. We can just cut off his contract and just give a bit more to Jordan Ridley, just so they can save a bit of face. But maybe, I don't know. It happened with Travis Boak back in the day. They gave him a captaincy. I don't think Jordan Ridley's got that sort of prestige around him to get him a captaincy, but I think he definitely could be a little bit pushed up in the pecking order at the club. Maybe that's good, maybe an option. Now with Charlie Curnow, it seems at this point that his trade preference is to join Geelong. Oh my god, Geelong again, bro. Fuck these these guys can't have another farm. You can give them like 700k, pay them unders. Charlie Curnow's like, look, I'll get paid unders. Look, I'll take a bit of a pay cut. Can I have like 3 sheep stations and a cotton farm and all this sort of stuff, and like a brand deal with what's their brand or something, some clothing brand?
Oh no, Cotton On.
Cotton On, yeah. I'll get a brand with Cotton On, but just under the table. Yeah. It's like, fuck me. Why is Geelong even doing this? Like, I mean, they've got Shannon Neal, yes, Jezza Cameron, whatever, but I mean, he's what? Kernow's I think 29 or turning 30 or something. Cameron's going to play. I mean, he showed this year. Unless he gets a massive injury, he's going to play for another 3 years at least. So Charlie Curnow's, let's say, so Shannon Neal's going to have to wait for another 3 years, let's say. Because, I mean, they can't play all 3 of them there.
Because you got to think also that they've got, Jack Martin, Stengel, Close, Myers, Manor, plus the 2 tools, then plus Curnow. Where does he fit?
If I'm Shannon Neal, I'm thinking, fuck these cunts. I'm finally got my spot on the team late last year when Tom Hawkins retired. Yeah. And now we're going to be picking up Charlie Curnow. There's no way he's in the team. No. So I'd be feeling pretty shitty if I was.
Yeah, and fuck knows how they're paying for him. Bloody hell. And I don't care if they say, oh, he's taking a pay cut. We all know he's taking a pay cut, but getting unders under the table. Yeah. Bloody hell.
Well, maybe he's just like Chris Judd. He's just very into cardboard. Yeah. He's very into cardboard. And then they've got a couple more. It does seem that Cal Archie is pretty much all but certain to be joining the Crows at the end of the year. Obviously hasn't made the request as of yet, but a lot of reporting, especially from Cal Toomey, is pretty much saying it's a done deal.
Yeah, and Cal Toomey doesn't normally...
He's usually pretty good.
He's normally pretty good. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, maybe for the Crows, it'll make... when Rankin comes back from suspension, push him more up, Rankin up to the midfield a bit. They can actually use that speed and X factor in the midfield, which is what they've lacked as we saw during the final series. So it's a good get for them. It's an underrated one, I think. That I don't think anyone really to be honest, they didn't notice Archie until the final series last year, and this year they haven't really noticed him all year. He's still, to me, he's still very underrated. But
Oh yeah, he's completely underrated.
yeah, I think it's a good get for the Crows. Sadly,
Yeah, unfortunately. And then finally, Ollie Florence still seems that he's got some interest from the Sydney Swans, but from Carlton from the Sydney Swans, Ollie Florent. But Cal Toomey has reported that any trade that would be done for Ollie Florent will not involve Charlie Curnow. Which, I mean, if I'm Sydney, I'm like, look, we'll give you... If we're going to go get Charlie, then I would be including that in the deal.
I think you have to, because I don't...
There's no other way you get it done.
To be honest, if you're seeing that, like, I think it pretty much says that he's not going to Sydney. Basically.
Yeah.
If Ollie Florent's not in that deal, then I don't see how Sydney can get the deal done without it being... some of their really big players.
Yeah. I mean, the Swans have got Hayden McLean, Jack Buller, who's pretty much sold he's going to go Collingwood. Amati, which Sydney... There has been reports around that Sydney are trying to get him signed before next year anyway, before he goes into I think it's free agency at this point. And I agree with that. I think the Swans need to lock him down. I know you don't really have much faith in Amati, but I do. I really like him as a player. And I think out of the three, honestly, out of Logan McDonald, Hayden McLean, and Amati, I'd be putting Amati as the top of the list.
I just lost a little bit of faith after he played Port Adelaide, but that's just...
Well, I mean, he had 9 scoring shots. Yes, they all missed. Right? Yes, they all missed. But how many players have 9 shots on goal in a game? Not very times.
How many of those that have 9 shots miss them all?
Yeah, well, exactly. That is the truth. But he's definitely... I think he's what Sydney need. And I think that no matter what, if Sydney are going to pick a new forward to come to the club this year or next year, I think that he can play a lot more the best role that he can, which is, deep forward. And I think that if it's a Charlie Curnow or a Brody Myercheck, I think their best roles, both of those guys, are in between the arcs to forward, and kind of same with Jamara. But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a player right now that I think will go to the Swans, it's probably leaning towards Brody in my eyes. Because of Jack Buller, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much all the rumours and the trades we've got. And that's pretty much all we've got for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. It's grand final week. We're both going for Brisbane, right?
Yes, we're both going for Brisbane.
We're both going for Brisbane.
I can't go for Geelong.
Sorry.
But if I'm going for anything, I'm wanting Norm Smith to go to Bailey Smith if Geelong win.
Well,
if
I mean, it's in the name.
I want it to give it because I think that could be the all-time speeches, and that would be one thing I'm watching.
Yeah, if Geelong win, Bailey Smith, we want to win, even if he doesn't have that good a game. Just put him on the podium.
Just do it like a Dusty Martin's. What was it in 2019 when he didn't play He didn't play.
Even in 2017, he didn't play that great.
Yeah,
it was Basher Dooley's Norm Smith in my eyes.
Yeah, I think that one of those. Like, he didn't play the best, but it was like he's the best player all year, best recruit. Give it to him.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I think that's 100%. I think everyone, if Geelong do win, that's just what they want to see. Bailey Smith pushed up onto the stage and just let him go.
Yeah.
Let him have the mic. Don't fuck off with Caroline Wilson. You can fucking swear, bro.
Don't need Hamish McLaughlin trying to take over the mic and being like, no. You let him have the stage.
Yeah, you let him have the stage. Everyone else clear off. All right, and then you can fucking have your Premiership Cup.
And whoever needs Snoop Dogg, this will be the entertainment.
Oh yeah, exactly. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. It's been a great year. Thank you so much for all the support. The content isn't stopping though. We're going to be keeping up with the trade updates throughout the next couple of weeks as well, and the draft and all that sort of stuff. So make sure to stay subscribed. Make sure to keep on watching. That's all from us though, guys. So yeah, like, subscribe. What's on the other one?
Follow,
Spotify,
whatever.
There you go. Spotify.
Whatever.
Make sure to follow. Make sure to leave us 5 stars. Notification bell. You've even got a hype button now on YouTube, which is pretty epic. It absolutely sucks. I don't know why the fuck they have that button, but anyway, make sure to do all that kind of stuff, guys, and make sure to follow all the socials as well. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.